Good morning. Gartner says that 75% of SAM projects are over budget and don't meet their business objectives. So, pretty scary number, and we're going to show why this is and how to avoid it. So, a little bit about how the SAM process works today. We call it the patchwork quilt because these tasks, discovery, normalization, software license reporting, are really very separate tasks. They're very manual tasks, and we think this is the heart of the problem. So if we start here with the discovery portion on the lower left, discovery is typically done for SAM using other tools, using existing operations tools, using existing security tools, and naturally keep in mind these tools were not designed for software asset management purposes, but they're there, right? So let's use them. So these are typically tools such as SCCM from Microsoft, ADDM from BMC, BigFix is a security tool, Altiris, Tanium is another security tool. Then all of this data is then needs to be made useful. So we call that normalizing, consolidating, using a software catalog to do this. And then it's entered into a software license engine and compared to your entitlements or purchase records. But we may notice up top here consultant and tool vendor services. So lots of manual effort required here and time and money to really make this whole process really work. And this is the theoretical view. What happens in reality is something more complex. So the discovery data gets normalized, gets sent to the software license management engine compared to the entitlements, but all of a sudden you see you've got a purchase record for a product that's not being discovered. And you go, gee, how's that going to work? So you go back to your operations and security guys and say, or girls, and say, geez, we need to discover this XYZ product from IBM or Oracle, or we need to get usage on Oracle options and packs, for example. Say, no problem, we'll write you a script. So 3 months later, they wrote the script, ran it, and sent the discovery data back to be normalized, back to the software license engine, and hopefully it all works. But if it doesn't, of course, you're back to the ops guys and security people to write it and modify that script. And then, of course, the vendors don't stay static. Their products are always changing. So they come out with a new product, new scripts, test that again. So you're really in a non-ending manual do loop here. That is the cause, we're saying, for so many projects SAM projects to fail to meet their objectives. Yeah, this is a quote from Gartner Peer Insights, which is a review site by end users. This was a large multi-billion-dollar manufacturing organization. We X'd out the tool vendor's name, but the point is made extremely clearly by this user. Let me just say, quote what he's saying. Implementing X as a management suite has been a challenge because it was brought in to replace an aging and no longer accurate management suite. As the saying goes, garbage in, garbage out, and that was the case with X. The problem we had was X's inability to accurately scan our existing environment and create a new accurate database. So it says it all, from the ground up. Our thesis is if you don't have good data for your SAM project, the project is very likely to fail. Belarc takes a very different approach. We think that the SAM process can be automated, and we've integrated these steps so that discovery is done by Belarc on your network. This data is automatically normalized, sent to our software license reporting engine called the analytics module, compared to your entitlements. And so you have pretty much every day updated effective license position reporting. And you may notice up here, no consultants, manual efforts, additional people are really needed for this process because it is so automated and integrated. So again, our thesis is that you really need to start with a single source for discovery data, covering all the major vendors, Microsoft, Oracle, database, middleware, IBM database, middleware, and lots of expensive software on your desktops or cloud, Adobe, Autodesk, ESRI, Tableau, and many, many more. And then this data then needs to feed into an automated and integrated system of normalization, license position, and then license optimization. A couple of quick cases. This was a large federal government customer. IBM was doing an audit. IBM hired Deloitte to do this. Deloitte went manually to each of the each of the end users' data centers, ran scripts, and came out after 9 months. Came out with, I think, the biggest spreadsheet I've ever seen, and also the end result was a $30 million overage request. So pretty not a small number. Belarc had just been deployed. We had not been brought in for IBM, but they asked if our system might be able to help. We wanted to make sure we were discovering all of their IBM software. They had some pretty old, 20-year-old IBM software. So we wanted to make sure that we were accurate. After 2 months, our results came in, and there was no overage at all. So you say, how could that be? Well, what happened when Deloitte ran the scripts? They did not have admin rights on many of the servers for obvious security purposes, so they couldn't actually calculate the proper processor value unit, which is a metric that IBM uses called PVUs. It's based on the make, model, number of cores of the CPU, whether the cores are hyper-threaded or not, and so they basically put in the maximum, which at the time was 140 PVUs. When Belarc ran our discovery, we did find the right metrics, CPUs, types, models, cores, hyperthreads, and found that the actual PVU numbers were 50 to 70, so a third to a half of what Deloitte had put in. So pretty substantial difference there. The customer was also going through a server consolidation, which is quite normal, but what happened is, because of the manual efforts that Deloitte had done, some of these servers were double or triple counted because they were moved to other data centers, and then double counted, triple counted in a couple of cases. And then some servers just simply, they had the wrong metrics on those servers. But the end result is, because the customer had the right data, they were able to negotiate with IBM very, very effectively. And so, yeah, we're not over licensed at all. So they essentially just paid for the audit. So from 30 million to an amount to cover the cost of Deloitte. Pretty astonishing, but they needed to have accurate discovery data in order to do this. ESRI is another interesting case. ESRI is a very powerful geographical information system, and it has this customer was using a couple of their licensing models, user-based and floating licenses, but our discovery found that actually no one was using the user-based licenses. They were all using the floating licenses, but of course the customer was still paying for both, so they dropped the user-based licenses and saved hundreds of thousands per year on that. So why do so many SAM projects fail? We say our postulate is that it's really from the ground up, that the discovery and from operations and security tools is really not sufficient for your software asset management project. Discovery for software asset management is much more complex, much more intricate, many more metrics than are typically picked up by these operations and security tools, and you don't want to go the route of custom scripts every time you need to discover more software. So this existing process really requires way too many manual efforts, and you really need an automated, integrated system to do the discovery, normalization, and effective license position. We have some white papers, some slides. Please feel free to send us an email at info@belarc.com, and we'd also be happy to set up a briefing where we can go over Belarc's capabilities. Thank you very much.